there is something wrong with your baby. She is what we call a mongoloid. Your child will never walk or talk. She will never be able to take care of herself. It is best if we put her in a place where they know how to care for babies like this. She is not normal.
Throughout history, people with physical and mental disabilities have been abandoned at birth, banished from society, and chosen first for the gas chambers. They still continue to be segregated, institutionalized, physically and sexually abused, and stripped of their self-worth. This is a collection of stories of people who have overcome these atrocities and are now living productive, happy lives, sharing their talents and love. Mary Ann was placed at Wisconsin Central Center when she was 3 weeks old because she was born with Down syndrome. She spent her childhood and teen years at the colony and was later released to a group home. For the past 30 years, she has been working and living independently in Madison. Even though Mary Ann has difficulty expressing herself verbally, she wants people to know she has a voice and that she celebrates life.
Each of us are capable of letting people know how we feel. We believe that just because we have a disability, that does not mean that we can't speak up for ourselves. We can. It may take some of us longer than others, but yet we can do it. People First is the organization that I'm very proud of because I started it. I am 51 years old. I got cerebral palsy. I started People First of Dane County back in '93. People First is getting people like me with a disability going out and speaking up for yourself and making the government know what you feel. is really a special occasion because it's the first time that I've been able to appear in public and say I represent the DD Council. We're happy that the governor finally appointed me to the council. I got that idea out of Dr. Martin Luther King when he spoke up for his people.
There's some dark clouds, I'd say the least. There's some folks out there saying that we designed just another rehash of the community camp we won.
He said that all people should be allowed to speak up for themselves. And if there's people that can't speak up for themselves, there's other people who will. That made me think of starting up a self-advocacy in Madison, Wisconsin, in Dane County. And it's been going on ever since. And then this year now, we got People First of Wisconsin. In other words, we got a stronger chapter in every county that we can hit.
I buy my supplies here, just like I do the art mart. Hold. I need to get. No. I'll take all three. And four, I mean four. Three for this. And
Do you want all of these, Bill? There's three of them.
how much are they?
They're $3 a piece, $2.99.
Why don't I take one now and I'll get two later
Okay.
on?
Okay.
Here's 10.
Okay.
My great-grandfather was an architect with Frank Lloyd Wright. It was Frank Lloyd Wright and Associate. Lou F. Porter was Frank Lloyd Wright's associate. That was my great-grandfather. He designed the Capitol and Randall School, the Red Gym, the Science Building. I think the building where upstairs, downstairs used to be, where Noodles is. I have visions of me leaving the tops off the bottles. This I'm kind of practicing up for when I'm doing a Lake Mendota. There used to be a Statue of Liberty. They used to have a model of the Statue of Liberty during the 70s. Just a model. And the original one has always been in New York, but they got a model of it here. They had a model of one of those here. And they put it in during the 70s. So now I'm trying to do that. I'm working on that one too. So, I want to get into the blue paint.
Good evening, everyone. I'll begin reading. I'll read 3 passages from Steve's book, Cold-Blooded and Downright Dirty by Steve Cunningham. I don't like the term handicap. Like I said before, I don't have to accept handicapped. And I would like to know, who in the hell do these goddamn people think they are, playing God with other people's human rights? I have a right to call myself whatever the hell I wish to call myself. If I want to call myself mentally challenged, then I will call myself mentally challenged and not no goddamn handicapped. And in the first place, it is very stupid to make other people out of something that they don't have to begin with. It is very stupid to judge other people by their ability to begin with.
The title book is called Cold-Blooded and Downright Dirty. And the reason why it's called that is because a lot of things that happened to me was just cold-blooded, including my first force they helped me out because they did not understand how to handle, how to work with people with different abilities and stuff like that. Like they would find me as somebody for to be mentally retarded and stuff like that. I don't believe in that kind of stuff. In fact, I could think of better words other than the term retarded, disabled, or mentally disturbed. And I think the more appropriate term for somebody like me would be the term either differently able, a different ability, or mentally challenged. Yeah. Then you got those who are physically challenged. Then you got those who are between mentally and physically challenged and stuff like that. They knew that I had feelings just like anybody else, but it's the way that they treat me. It's like they would always forget. I mean, like they would dress me as stupid, something like, oh, Stevie, quit acting stupid, or Stevie, just as stupid as you could be. Now, saying that to a child, how does the child want to feel?
You can't tell people that they don't have no authority to stand up for their human rights. That is a discrimination to tell people that. And for anyone else that want to tamper with my human rights, I tell you what, I would do a book about it. Before I let anybody get away with it, I would do a book about it. And then I would do another book about it. Steve Cunningham. Steve's book.
Message challenge mean like it would mean okay, like for some people some things take time. Like for me, it takes time for me to learn how to read because of being brain damaged. It don't mean I can't do it. It just means that I can't learn the same way like the average person. So it means I have to work a little bit harder and stuff like that. But it don't mean that I can't do it. It just means that it takes more time for me than just for other people.
got seniority in that office because it's so political. There's been enough changeover that if you've been there as long as like 14 years, you've been around a long time. And he was able to choose over 3 or 4 jobs. He chose working at the state office building over a library and a hospital. And I guess he just, you know, felt most comfortable. That was most what he wanted to do. He loves to go to work. I mean, he really does. He waits for the bus. He's anxious about it. And this is how many years, like, you know, how many people can say that about work? I mean, come Monday, he's looking forward to it, right? Prior to that, the only kind of experience he had were just sheltered workshops that they had. In fact, one of his jobs was just tearing up newspapers, you know, for no reason. So now he's working, and he works on the 6th floor, collating, filing, shredding, which I always joke he has the most important job in the government, right? And so he does shred paper, but even more meaningful paper. I don't know.
I can remember when it was so hard for me to walk, and people say, well, you never will walk. Look what I'm doing. I do have a walker and a scooter, although I don't use the scooter that much because I want to keep my legs moving as much as I can. I'm not very happy about this cord to try to grip. I'm very concerned about every book in there. I came too far to throw everything away, and I don't want to do that now. You know what you want, and you know what you need. And if you don't know that now, then there's something wrong.
Here's Miss Mary Ann going shopping at Menards. You like that rug?
I like to draw tall buildings, but by the same standard, I like to draw the Capitol and the Arboretum. I like to draw Randall School. I like to see places preserved too. Once I get them done, they'll put out titles. We talk about titles, and that's what sells them. That's what sells my paintings.
Skiing in the woods. Ski in Colorado. That's Bucky Badger. I've always wanted to be Bucky Badger. I think he has a great job just entertaining people. I'm going to have a show at Canterbury just before that.
Yeah? You have enough painting?
Yes, I should have enough.
You have enough paint?
Yep.
Okay, let us know. I'm the lucky guy here. Because I have this man as a friend. I really do feel that way. And most of us around here do. My nieces and nephews think I'm a big shot because I know a real live artist.
I'm famous in my lifetime. I've sold more pictures in Van Gogh or any artist.
Jill and I have known one another for about 3 years, at least, and we've had 2 wonderful exhibits of his work. And he's the artist of all our artists that sells the most right off the walls. There's no question about it. Part of it is that they're such cheerful pictures. Lovely, lovely, cheerful, sunny pictures. But you know what else is wonderful about Phil's paintings? Every painting has a sun in it. And if you look up there, you will see the sun. There they are.
There's one there.
There's one there. And almost every painting has a sun in it. And it's just, I bought one for my little grandson to put in his room. It was the one with the train. You remember that one?
Yep.
A small one with a train.
A New Hampshire train.
That's right. That's what it was. Rather small, but again, it had that sun in it.
Yep.
Right?
School they have gone to, the school was called Oathout High School, and they knew that I wasn't ready. I must have been the only person there who couldn't read on anything. It's like everybody wanted to pick on me, they wanted to stop fighting me. And like all those people, I ain't did nothing to them, but it's like they had this it's like that it's like that. You don't fit. Some people you don't fit the description or their ways of thinking. It's like like they want to put some real great harm onto you. So I mean, because of this, I quit going to that school. But my high school principal didn't like it. My first one didn't like it, but I had to thought about 2 things. Either my chance to keep on taking, but going to that school that they haven't gone to, or to just say, get out. And I got out because I'm concerned about my safety. Man showed me how to hit it. Like be like something like that. So when you're playing with something like this. Look, we've been talking about discrimination against people of color, discrimination against women, we could discrimination against gays and national people. Now, how come that that we can have sense enough not to say anything stupid like calling gays or national people faggot, but somebody can come in my face and call me a retarded because I struggle to learn. I'm going to do a story about African Americans and other people of color with different beards because the way that racism have been done playing on people like us. I mean, I grew up not being discriminated against by some whites, but I accidentally witnessed discrimination coming from my own people. It's my people, right?
Hi folks in TV land, I'm Carlos Stiff. I'm going to be a future new bride too in another 2 years when I'm 50.
I was walking down on Wilson Street with my girlfriend, and these 3 punks come up in my face saying to me, "You ain't nothing, you ain't nothing, you ain't nothing, you ain't nothing." And you see, this is what I mean by that. I mean, I've been getting this kind of mess most of my life, because not every day, but you know, just every now and then. I mean, you know, I saw that they probably see me on TV playing these drums, but see things, like I said, to some people, you know, they won't respect you. But then again, I mean, people like that's not even worse losing a sleep over. It just, they need to know how I feel about people like them.
His father died in the war. Darwin was born in the 30s. And at that time, you know, Wisconsin had this rule that adults age 8 with certain disabilities were just mandatorily put into institutional centers, and so this included Northern Center. And when I first met Darwin, which, you know, now is almost 15 years ago, he was sort of a person without a history. I mean, they didn't have, you know, photo books, they didn't have much knowledge. And we looked around and we came across a distant cousin of his who lived in a nursing home. And she had this photograph of Darwin's parents on their wedding. It's the only sort of picture he has of any family. You can sort of see Darwin and his parents. It's really fun to see. But we didn't know even any of that history except from her. Mm-hmm. You know, no one from institutions thought it was important to even record that, and Darwin couldn't tell us, unfortunately, and so he doesn't have any siblings. And at the age of 8, he was forced into the institution, Northern Center in Chippewa Falls. It's a real testimony of survival, if you ask me, to be there from 1938 to 1985, and really a period of about, you know, 35 of that, no real family to visit or call. I mean, just the people living there. So, real isolation in a sense from I don't know, from that outside that one community, you know. So Darwin somehow survived all that, and not just survived it, but in a sense, you know, one of the things that I appreciate about Darwin and never cease to be amazed by is that he's so even-tempered and has such a sort of positive outlook. The story that I like to tell about how Darwin got out of Northern Center, which is a great one, was that the KIP program started, and you know, that would allow funding to get more folks out of institutions and then into the community. Originally, Options and some other interested agencies went up to Northern Center to see who was eligible, and one of the conditions essentially was you had to be your own guardian. And Darwin introduced himself because he caught wind that here are some people that wanted to get us out. So he drives up to the door, the exit. Yeah, he's like waves over here, like, I'm ready, you know, what about me? You know, let me get out of here. And so, you know, we just politely asked who he was, and got to meet him, and found out that wonderfully Darwin was his own guardian, so he just had to sign the paperwork. So from day one, I've kind of been there doing things like we went the first grocery shopping trip and all those kind of, you know, daily things. I remember, one of the funny stories I like to tell is the first grocery trip, I said, Darwin, this is your chance to buy and eat whatever you want. And so the first dinner we had was 6 different desserts or something. We got cookies and pies. He said, oh, I like these and I like this. And, well, we don't have any more money, and all we bought was. Every 2 or 3 years we do some strange, kind of half crazy vacation idea. There's some photos of a trip that we took to Yellowstone, where Darwin can proudly boast that the rangers told us he was the only person in a wheelchair, first person I should say at that time, to have canoed all 3 lakes at Yellowstone Lake. And I remember they came, in fact, to complain about our RVs leaving tracks. It was Darwin's wheelchair. And we said, okay.
This Mikey shipwreck. And as far as I'm concerned, the stories I hear, she's a tough guy.
Good plan. Great plan. Great plan in the full horseman. Go full team.
That's good, honey. No. No, Bobby. Hogan.
All their lives, they know about tag team wrestling, this team of Wyndham and Hennig.
He used to good for right here, Bobby.
8 years old. I was 8 years old when I went to the colony. And I shouldn't have ever went. So, but I ran away from the bus. And schools didn't understand how to teach. It was like it was the dark ages. Things weren't all what they were cracked up to be back then. When I was at the colony, I took a variety of different types of art classes. So, I like to paint, but I wish people weren't so critical of how I look. That's the one thing about it, it pampers it. It would be better, it would be more rewarding if people didn't make a big deal about how I looked. I think I'm art, not the artist.
I've been at Southern Wisconsin Center from the age of 8.5 years old to when I was 18. The reason I went there is because at that time people with disabilities back in the early 40s and 50s and 60s did not have equal rights. We were just like the black. We couldn't, even though we knew we didn't belong in the institution, we didn't have the right to say that. I went there because they felt that people with disabilities didn't belong in the community and that they would be better taken care of in the state institution. And they also told my mother that she didn't have to worry about me because everything would be okay, which came out to be not true.
There are all kinds of good reasons to get out, obviously, but what we were able to find out about his history there was just a real tough one. You know, he was there through the 30s and 40s, into the 30s and the 40s, which was such a lean time in terms of economics. And Darwin actually, one of the saddest things about that was I learned that he didn't get a wheelchair until not much before actually. Before he was just in like a crib and pushed around in a big mobile thing and just didn't really have independent movement, let alone, you know, a lot of other things that folks don't have. And another thing, which you're hearing now, is when we first met Darwin, he had no speech therapy, and he was communicating with his own kind of what we call Darwinese, and he still uses it a lot, which I've learned, and folks that get to know Darwin get to know a lot of what these signs mean. Because he couldn't use a sign language and no one taught him that. He was just using symbols that would represent things. And we had asked about it. Yeah, well, I should talk about his calendar in a minute. And So we prompted them to start doing something before we even got them out. Just, you know, it's almost like the institution was responding to the fact that someone's critiquing them, I guess. But, so he just had really rudimentary kind of board with some symbols, and most of them weren't that appropriate or useful.
Can you show me how that works? That is so cool, Steve. Crystal.
Would you please get me my glasses? Would you please get me my glasses?
When Darwin first came here, he had virtually nothing. You know, first to Madison, he had like a photo book, and very tellingly, it was only photos of people who worked with him, you know, staff. It was like none of his friends there, because we don't do that, you know, like, you know, all their notions of privacy and that. I mean, in my mind, it was Darwin's home, and he didn't have pictures of his roommates, you know. And he didn't really have any history, he didn't have old photos of recording that. And anyway, the first thing Darwin wanted to do was get rid of everything, including the photo book. Like I saved it, he was going to rip it in two. I mean, for him, it was like, you know, catharsis. I have to get rid of these clothes, I have to get rid of this, all this stuff. His big sign was junking, you know. Let's go shopping, you know. Let's get everything new, you know. I don't need any of this. And I swear, I think like the only thing we saved from that was that photo book, which I'll show you as a rip in it.
So I just enjoy painting. When there's I'll paint until there's nothing left to paint.
Phil, when we were driving over here, we were talking about you having the opportunity to talk about some of the harder things, institution days.
Yeah, I was beat to death.
You were beaten?
Beat to death, yes.
When you were in
Institution.
Central?
Southern.
Southern?
There was no Central Center when I went.
Well, that's why you had to go to Racine?
Yes. That's Southern.
Why did they beat you?
Well, that was their fun. That was the staff's fun.
So the staff beat you?
Yeah, that's what they call their fun. Beating people was their fun. How's it sound?
Sounds pretty awful.
They enjoyed they didn't care whether the residents suffered, as long as they didn't have to suffer. So, that's the story of my life. They beat you with towels, brooms, bops, plungers, baseball bats.
Baseball bats.
They put cigarettes down the residents' throats. I'm surprised I don't have cancer. Oh.
Were the cigarettes lit?
They were cigarette butts. How's that sound? And they never own up to it either. They paid other residents to beat up other residents and whatnot. So, what else can I say? They got a kicks out of that.
Were there reasons that they would give for the beatings, or?
I don't know if they give the reasons or not. They just do it. They said their saying there was, one person does something wrong, everybody gets it. That was the whole thing.
Did you ever suffer any really serious injuries from those?
Yes, I had my head cracked open several times, a coffee can, and I've had a lot of injuries, loads of them. There's no end. I don't even know why they bothered to help the residents, why they just didn't let them all die. It would have been a lot more humane.
While I was down there, I was beaten up by another disabled person that really didn't know what he was doing. He took a wooden broomstick through my back and he beat me very bad. In fact, so bad that I had my back operated on in 1993. The same year I got people first of Dane County started.
A room not even bigger than this with like 4 cots in it, basically. Still white walls. You know, it hasn't changed much. I mean, and they were telling us that, well, there such and such is a day when people take their baths, and such is a day when, you know, and I mean, Darren gets a shower anytime he wants, right? You know, and he eats what he wants. And I'll tell you, one of the interesting things was we actually tried to eat the food they had for the cafeteria. And Darren amazingly could eat some of it, but it was just terrible. And none of the staff would eat with us. Like, they didn't eat there anymore, you know. I thought, well, why don't you make a rule that the food's got to be good enough that you guys, the staff to eat it.
Everybody has to eat it.
That should be, everyone should have to eat it, and that would make life a little more pleasant for everyone, wouldn't it?
Yes, they could deprive you of food. I missed a lot of meals there. You had to eat in 15 minutes or less. Oh, that's,
Or what would happen if you didn't finish?
They boot you out of the dining room. How's that sound?
Southern was not a good institution. They treat you like an animal instead of like a human being. You couldn't go to bed when you want, you couldn't do anything. They had your medication, they overdrugged you for one thing. And no matter what you do, they would make sure you wouldn't do it again.
You couldn't go out on your own. You had to be with the staff at all times. They said either you were in or you were out. You weren't both. They could deprive you of using the washroom. They could deprive you of this. They could deprive you of that. It's a deprival.
When you're in a place like that, your rights is taken away from you. You are being told how long you can stay out, what time to be back in. I mean, you couldn't date anybody the way you want to date anybody because you know, like they got these, you know, just because of their rules. And it's like well, it's like being back home with my foster folks in a way.
When you were at Southern, you couldn't even make a move to go outside by yourself. Not, you were underneath like a lock and key, just like they do at a prison. And that's what it really felt like.
This is a place that doesn't get Christmas carolers, you know, I mean, it's just so isolated. And he lived in a geriatric area that has just kind of become like, it feels like the mausoleum, sort of just, here's this cooped up life, you know, and you know, and Darren and I were very sad just to still see how many people there that he still knew and that we still could have, like, you should come with us.
Let me give you some example of what it was like. They got you up at 5:30 every morning, got you dressed, you ate breakfast around 6:30, 7 o'clock. Then you went to your activity, whatever that was. And then your meal time was at 11:30. Your supper time was around 4:30 or 5, apparently. And you had to be in bed before 6:30. That was the rule.
The rules was that you're in a place like that, you can't go out and drink any kind of liquor. This you are with legal guidance and stuff like that. But, I mean, with the things, I had me a little bit anyway. Inspired with this because the things.
One shift to be nice, the other shift to be lousy.
So you never knew?
No, you never know, right? Even a staff tore my clothes off me once. His name was Mr.
Why did he tear your clothes off?
Just out of resentment. How's that sound? So you could tell they were sick as the residents. They shouldn't have been working there.
If you do something that they didn't like, he would accidentally physically handle you. And that's one of the things that, I mean, that's one way to really describe this discrimination. It's, it's having people manhandling you and stuff like that.
Yeah, he called me Angel.
Angel?
Yeah.
Angel, huh?
Mm-hmm. What do you think of that?
Why did he call you Angel?
I don't know. It was his pet name for me. I don't know. When I was on College 9, I was in a lot of pain. I'm surprised I'm still living among the living. I'm going to wash this brush.
Okay.
Physical abuse and sexual abuse. Does that mean I go to hell when I die? Listen to that one person?
No, that means they go to hell.
Yeah. I'm going to have to take this to get fixed.
You can't easily have pen pals. You can't write to a buddy, and you know, none of it makes sense to me thinking that Darwin lived there for so long, that was once home, and the people that lived there were his friends, and for him to not be able to communicate with them in a mutual way, to me, is just tragic. I mean, and there's no justification from it in my mind. It's a big lie to say that it's for reasons of privacy or security or something. I mean, if an individual didn't want to, but you go there and they're so happy to see you.
They tied me and they made me eat a bar of soap.
They tied you up? Or?
Yes, a lock belt and made me eat a bar of soap. They put me in. I'm like Houdini when it comes to being put in a straitjacket. I can get out.
You can get out?
Yeah, I can get out of a straitjacket. He's from Appleton, Wisconsin.
And I'm glad that Southern is gonna be closed because it was no place for disability.
But it was nice that Darwin could feel comfortable and secure, because he didn't want to go back. He didn't want to, you know, it was like it was necessary for him to feel like he had a home here, that he wasn't going back for any other reason to visit, and that.
No.
Yeah, they're still working there. Why I got the last laugh. They worked there till they died.
Take the highway, go on home. Tonight it's cold. painting relax you, Phil? Yes,
it does. That's the original reason I started doing it, because when I was at the Opportunity Center, I had a lot of hostilities.
Dark figures in windows, 1,000 TVs humming live. So this is your life. The steam from your coffee cloud in your eyes. You know your face through rest of mirrors. You live alone. Go lock all your doors, don't answer the phone. Beneath the sky, I feel the heartbeat of crows. Small weight of the rain sifting down along this poor little lighted side street. Blank faces and shades drawn close.
A young white boy named Kyle, he didn't have no legs or no arms. And I like what he said too, and this is what I've been saying most of my life, and that is that I don't really see myself as a disabled. And I'm glad he said that, because that's the way I feel too.
Small weight of the rain sifting down along this poor little lighted side street.